She is not cold. She is not broken. She is not the woman society warned you about when it whispered the word difficult. She is something else entirely, something most people will spend their whole lives misreading because they have never met anyone who didn't need them. This is the hidden side of the Sigma female, not the version you've seen in aesthetic edits with quotes about independence. The real one, the one nobody talks about because it's uncomfortable, because it's lonely, because it asks something of you that most people aren't ready to face. If you've ever felt like you love people deeply but trust almost no one completely, stay. This is for you. Here is what nobody tells you about a Sigma female. Her detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the result of feeling too much, too early, with too little protection. Somewhere in her story, she learned that needing people came with a price she couldn't always afford. So she built something quieter, something that didn't ask anyone for permission to survive. People call this coldness. They call it arrogance. They call it thinking she's better than everyone. But underneath that armor is someone who remembers every small cruelty in vivid detail. The friend who didn't show up, the love that asked her to shrink, the room where she realized she was the only one keeping score of her own worth. She didn't become independent because she wanted to. She became independent because dependence once cost her too much. Most Sigma females will tell you the same quiet truth if you ask them at the right moment, in the right light, when the performance has dropped. They will tell you that somewhere along the way, they noticed people only wanted them when they were useful, agreeable, smaller than they actually were. And rather than keep shrinking to be chosen, they chose themselves first. This is the part nobody talks about. It's not a power move. It's a grief response that calcified into a personality. Here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. The world has rebranded her isolation as glamour. Self-sufficient, mysterious, unbothered. And there is truth in that. She has built a life that doesn't collapse when someone leaves it. But what the aesthetic edits don't show you is the 2 a.m. moment where she wonders if she's forgotten how to let someone in at all. Whether the walls she built to protect her have become the walls that now keep her sealed off from the very connection she quietly still wants. This is her hidden side, not weakness, just humanity she's learned to hide so well that even she sometimes forgets it's there. If you grew up having to read a room before you could trust it, you understand this already. You learned to watch body language before words. You learned that silence often told the truth louder than conversation did. And somewhere in that hyper-awareness, you stopped expecting people to be safe by default. You started requiring them to earn it. This is why Sigma females are so often misjudged as unapproachable. It isn't that she's incapable of warmth. It's that her warmth has a gate, and the gate has a guard. And the guard has seen what happens when the gate is left open to the wrong person. Here's something that separates her from the cliché version people post online. A Sigma female does not crave attention. She craves accuracy. She does not need you to like her. She needs you to see her correctly or not at all. This is why she can walk away from rooms most people would beg to stay in. Not because she doesn't care, but because being misunderstood costs her more than being alone ever could. This single trait confuses almost everyone who meets her. They mistake her calm for indifference. They mistake her boundaries for ego. But what they're actually witnessing is someone who has decided that her peace is no longer negotiable, even if that decision costs her the comfort of belonging. And this is the part nobody talks about, because it doesn't fit the aesthetic. Underneath the composure is a woman who still feels the ache of disconnection like anyone else. She has not transcended the need for love or closeness. She has simply refused to chase it from people who require her to be less than herself to receive it. This is not emotional avoidance. This is emotional precision. She has learned the difference between people who want her and people who only want what she provides. And once you've learned that difference, you cannot unlearn it. You start filtering everyone through it, whether you want to or not. What changes for a Sigma female over time isn't her need for connection. It's her tolerance for the wrong kind of it. She stops performing resilience for people who never deserved access to her vulnerability in the first place. She starts reserving her depth for the rare few who don't flinch at it, who don't try to fix her, who don't mistake her independence for an invitation to disappear on her. This is the quiet evolution most people never witness, because by the time it happens, she's already stopped explaining herself to anyone who isn't paying attention. So if you've ever been called too much, too distant, too guarded, too independent, understand this. You were never the problem. You were simply someone who learned the cost of needing the wrong people and decided never to pay it again. That isn't coldness. That's wisdom wearing a quiet face. If this described a part of you that you've never said out loud, type, "I see her" in the comments. And if you want the next chapter of this story, the one about how a Sigma female learns to let the right person in, subscribe, because that conversation is coming next.